Hey guys, welcome back to another Clash Royale video, and today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. We're going to be talking about some very important Clash Royale news that just came out today regarding the next big update in the game and what might potentially be in there, as well as things like clan wars, reworked tournaments, are those being worked on right now, as well as balance update, when is that coming and what might be in that as well. So let's go ahead here and get started. Now, earlier on today, Clash Royale released a Q&A on Reddit. I will leave a link for that in the description down below if you are interested to check it out yourself. But we're going to go ahead here and cover the important questions. Now, the first question right here is by far the most important one. They ask, is a tournament rework and or clan wars feature on the cards just yet? You've hinted at them in the past, which makes me rather curious. And they answered no and yes. We aren't working on a tournament rework at the moment, but we do bring it up every update cycle. We know they need a rework, it just hasn't risen to the top of our list as a high priority feature to address yet. It's still on our radar as of course, but most likely it won't be happening in the next couple of updates. Now, my initial reaction here is I'm a bit sad and honestly quite surprised to hear that they aren't currently working on a rework of the tournament system and it isn't planned for the next couple of updates. I feel like a lot of people were really hoping that it was coming pretty soon to the game, but what comes next here is even more important. They said the yes element of the answer is that we are actively thinking about and developing what Clash Royale's clan wars feature could be. This is our main focus currently. I don't want to spoil anything about it right now. It's still too early to say whether or not it'll come in the next update, so watch this space. So my initial disappointment there from the first part of the answer regarding the tournament rework feature is completely erased after hearing about clan wars and how they are actively working on it right now, and from the sounds of it, it seems like it might be their highest priority topic right now in the dev team. So moving on here, next question is, would you consider making more frequent balance changes, perhaps one each month? Currently, they are every 2 to 3 months, and it just gets a bit repetitive seeing the same types of decks for that long. And the answer here is our original plan with balance updates was something along those lines, to put them out every month or every month and a half. However, we've moved to a slower pace lately because we are now thinking we should do balance updates when we feel the game needs them, rather than simply to freshen things up. Instead, to keep things fresh in the metagame sense, we've been releasing a new card every month. It's certainly not out of the question to increase our balance update frequency, but not something we're thinking about doing right now. But we can still do a better job of moving quicker when a card or meta is clearly a bit too dominant. For example, the Goizen meta as a prime example. This is something we know we should do better at addressing sooner rather than later. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward answer, honestly not too surprised at all. Personally for me, I feel like one balance change every month, maybe after the season reset, is a good frequency, because obviously as a YouTuber, more balance changes gives us more stuff to do videos on. But in terms of the meta, I feel like every 2 months is a good frequency for balance updates, because if you do too often, the free-to-play player doesn't have time to invest gold and cards to upgrade cards into the meta. So let me know what you guys think. What do you think is the ideal frequency of balance updates? So moving on here, next question, which ideas have you seen in the community that you think are worthy of being implemented in the game? Their answer, there are definitely too many for us to do, but to name a few that we really like, which we first saw on Reddit: permanent emote muting, which I'm definitely a fan of by the way, some sort of challenge ticket system where I'm guessing you earn like tickets in chess that you can save up and then use to go classic or grand challenges instead of gems, heroes, clan wars, tournament rework, more emotes, TV Royale revamp. Bear in mind, the above list includes things that we are currently working on and actively thinking about, as well as things that we are not. Also, even though we like all of the above ideas and many more, some of them may not make it into the game. Personally, I'm a big fan of the entire list right there, guys. Permanent emote muting, challenge tickets, heroes, clan wars, tournament reworks, more emotes, TV Royale revamp. All of those are pretty solid ideas. I would love to see each and every one added to the game. Next question here, guys. What was the intent behind placing a secret Brawl Stars Easter egg in the Electro Valley Arena? Which, if you guys weren't aware, I will show a screenshot of that on the screen right now. Simply put, we really like Brawl Stars and the artist who made Electro Valley especially so. Next question here. Do you see potential in Clash Royale's esports scene using a team format rather than 1v1s? If yes, will you support the idea and move in that direction? Their answer is yes, there's definitely potential. We've seen some signs in 2017 that a team format can be super fun and exciting. For example, in Kings Cup 2 as well as Superliga in Spain. It's awesome that a community is already exploring this direction, and that makes us pay attention. We're following the scene closely and taking note of what works. And in terms of our plans for 2018, I can't announce anything about them right now, but we have some cool stuff coming forward. So again, stay tuned. So my question for you guys after that response is, did you like the team format of Kings Cup 2? Or would you like to see it incorporated in more tournaments going forward? Now this next question here is rather a long one. They ask, what do you see as the biggest hurdle or combination of hurdles facing you as developers right now, and how are you addressing, or how do you plan to address this hurdle or a combination of hurdles? Their answer here is, one of the biggest ongoing hurdles for us in this game is when players hit their trophy high and progress slows down or halts altogether. And how do we keep the game interesting for players who've been playing for a year or more? For this, we're looking at alternate feelings of progress and goals, as well as new features and game modes. As a quick side note here, guys, I feel like if they added more cosmetic items into the game, they can work towards stuff like tower skins, troop skins, etc., as like alternate progress goals. I feel like that's a pretty cool idea as well. But moving on to their answer here, guys, they say players specializing heavily into certain cards / decks is a hurdle also. We need to bring balance updates to this game relatively regularly, but this can be problematic for players who can only have one highly leveled deck or set of cards to use. Additionally, people may lose interest in the game if they're only playing with the same cards / decks over and over again. So for this, we're thinking about new features that could encourage the use of cards beyond your 8 ladder cards, and trying to get players caring about the whole collection. My response to that paragraph, guys, is gold. Gold, I think, in my opinion, is by far the #1 limiting factor to upgrading different decks and different cards in the game. I feel like if people had more gold available, they would be able to upgrade a wider variety of decks and use different stuff as well. But moving on, they also say balancing ladder play in leagues better so that players feel like they have a chance in every matchup. For this, we'll make some changes to the league reset points so that we don't collapse too wide a range of players' trophies each month. And then finally, finish up with saying keeping the UI as clean and uncluttered as possible is always a challenge. This is something that we need to stay vigilant about and smart when adding new features. Always try to make things as simple and intuitive as possible. So we have 2 more questions left here. The first says, you said a while ago we were to be receiving something for our legendary trophies. Are we going to still receive something for those of us who have played and continue to play since Clash Royale beta? So for those of you that don't know, legendary trophies are something that we used to get at the end of season reset before they added leagues and draft chests to the game. Their answer says, we haven't forgotten about this, but also don't have any plans to do anything with them at the moment. Sorry for the lack of concreteness here, but truthfully, it's not a high priority thing for us right now. And honestly, I'm not too surprised with the answer. I would much rather they spend all their dev team time on doing stuff like Clan Wars, Heroes, Tournament Rework, rather than worry about legendary trophies, which not every player in the game even has. And finally here, I am curious what led to the decision to nerf all spell damage by 5%. Can you explain what is the purpose of this nerf? Their answer, we noticed an increasing amount of games being decided by spell damage to towers and less through troop combat, which we think is more interesting. Spell damage is certainly a part of the game, but we don't want games to boil down to defensive gameplay with spells being the primary source of tower damage. We've been thinking about making this change for a while, but we held back because we didn't want to increase the amount of draws, which would be a very unwelcome side effect. So we'll keep an eye and adjust if necessary. But that is the end of the Q&A. Now, I would love to hear your guys' reaction to this Q&A. Are you happy? Are you disappointed with their answers? I want to know from you. Let me know down in the comment section down below. But I want to go ahead and give you guys my initial impression of this Q&A, and then afterwards we'll talk about the balance update, when that is coming, and what might be in there. So my reaction to this Q&A, first and foremost, obviously I'm a bit sad to hear that they aren't actively working on a tournament rework system, but I'm super excited to hear that Clan Wars is a high priority for the team. I'm honestly okay with their answer for the balance changes. As a YouTuber, obviously, I prefer more balance changes because it gives me more stuff to do videos on, but I know the average free-to-play player and even light gemmers have a very hard time keeping up with a changing meta. And the main reason for that is because gold is so hard to get. So whenever they do a balance update and cards change, we don't have the gold required to upgrade the new cards. And even me, like I said before, as a light gemmer, it is so hard to get gold. I asked you guys in a previous video how much gold I needed right now to upgrade all the cards in my card collection, and some of you guys answered over 6 million gold, costing over $3,000 if I gemmed it outright. So that's just a pretty good example as to how rare gold is and how much we actually need to upgrade our cards. I really love the ideas of things like permanent mute feature as well as challenge tickets. I feel like these two things would really increase the enjoyability of the game for the free-to-play players. Challenge tickets making it more accessible for free-to-play players to play challenges, and permanent mute, for me at least, would make ladder a bit more enjoyable. I think for me, about 80% of the games that I lose on ladder, and some even in challenges as well, I get BM'd at the end of the game, which honestly doesn't really make me too mad. I kind of just move on to the next game as well. But is it really fun getting BM'd over and over again? Like, it kind of like lowers the fun factor of doing ladder. So for me, if I could just block it out entirely, just click one button and never have to worry about that again, especially when you're tilting, just click one button, and when you're not tilting, kind of turn it back on and have some fun with it. Let me know what you guys think about the permanent mute feature. I know it's a pretty controversial idea. I'm also really happy to hear them talk about and acknowledge all the issues on ladder as well as with progression, because as it is right now, once you hit like level 11, level 12, level 13, you kind of hit this massive wall with what do you do with the game? Like, your cards for the most part in your battle deck are almost maxed out. You don't really move up too far in trophies on a daily basis, and overall, you can just stop progressing in the game. So I'll break my response for this down into two issues, ladder as well as progression. Right now, I feel like the biggest hurdle for progression is actually that gold. Gold is so hard to get. You basically only have enough gold to upgrade one a deck. If they increase the gold you get in the game, you could actually experiment with different decks, different win conditions. You could keep up with the meta, with the balance changes, and also you just have more fun and not be stuck using one deck all the time. One idea that I kind of like that I saw people talking about earlier on is once you hit level 13, what if all of the experience you earned converted to gold? Now, talking about ladder here, they already acknowledged the trophy spread system, whereas after season reset, all of the max level players basically get pushed down to 4,000 trophies. So obvious fix for that is to just spread out the trophy reset a bit more. But another issue that I feel like is a high priority for ladder is actually card levels, especially in the lower trophy ranges, where honestly at like 3,000 trophies, you can face like level 6, level 7 epics, level 13, level 12 commons, level 9, level 10 rares, which I feel like is a bit too high for that trophy range. So I feel like something should be done about card levels as well. But overall, guys, for me, in my opinion, the highest priority things in the game right now, first and foremost, is clan wars. Second, I feel like they should add heroes to the game. I think heroes are a very cool idea. Very interested to see how they work in Clash Royale. Number 3 is ladder/progression fixes, stuff like more gold, trophy spread, etc, etc. And fourth and finally on my priority list is a tournament rework. But let me know what you guys think about that. What is your highest priority thing you want added or changed in the game in the next update? So let's go ahead here and shift our focus to the balance update. When is it coming and what might be in it? So Clash Royale on Twitter today responded to Clash with Ash by saying they're aiming for next week for the balance update as well as March as the next big update date. And in terms of what might be in the balance update, the only thing I know for sure is regarding the Royal Ghost, they acknowledged he is a bit too strong right now and he does need to be toned down a little bit, which will be included in the next balance update. So that's it for the balance update, guys. Hopefully coming next week. Before I share with you guys my ideas for what to be included in the next balance update, I figured I'd do things a bit differently today and share with you guys your own ideas. So I asked you guys earlier on Twitter as well as in yesterday's video, what balance changes do you want to see included in the next update? And here are your responses. Buff 3 Musketeers, buff 3 Musketeers, nerf Skeleton Barrel, nerf Giant Skeleton, nerf Royal Ghost. Lava Hound deserves a buff slightly on damage. Royal Ghost Electric cost must be 4. Night Witch needs a buff either on damage or HP. Bats are balanced. Skeletons are also balanced. Elite Barbarians need a nerf on either running speed or damage. Zappies must deal more damage. Hunter must have slightly more HP. Ice Wizard damage must slightly be increased. Nerf Elite Barbarians, boost Musketeer, buff Skeletons, nerf RG, Mega Knight, and Ice Spirit. I want 4th Skeleton, make mortar range like Expo. Nerf RG at least from 1,100 HP to 1,000 HP. Zappies more damage. Level cap on ladder. Nerf Royal Ghost and Goblin Hut, buff lightning again to its old self. A slight buff to Electro Wizard and Night Witch and slight nerf to Royal Ghost. Nerf Elite Barbarians and buff Flying Machine. Zappies buff. Nerf Mortar. Mega Knight, Infernal Dragon, and Royal Ghost should be nerfed heavily. Nerf Bats. Goblin Hut nerf the life of the hut. Royal Ghost nerf a little bit less damage. Mortar nerf a little bit less HP. Skeleton Barrel nerf, I don't know. Poison nerf, less damage, maybe almost like Fireball. Valkyrie buff, more HP. Graveyard buff, again, more skeletons. The graveyard is too easy to defend. Flying Machine buff, more HP. no one fireball, and then instead not good. So those were your guys' ideas of balance changes. Let's go ahead and take a look at my list right here, guys. And I would love to hear if you agree or disagree with anything on my list. I love sparking a discussion about what should be included in the balance update and hearing what all of you guys think as well. So first on my list is buff Zappies. I feel like they're way too underwhelming right now. Either buff their health or buff their damage, but I feel like they should survive Fireball or make them cost 3 Elixir. I would also say buff the Graveyard as well. In my opinion right now, Graveyard is one of the hardest win conditions to use, especially with Poison Spell being so dominant in the meta. Now I know what you guys might be thinking about the Graveyard. It's already a pretty strong win condition, but the problem in my opinion with the Graveyard is it isn't too versatile. It's kind of like the Sparky, that there are so many very strong counters to the Graveyard. Stuff like Bats, Ice Wizard, Witch, Night Witch, Poison obviously, Valkyrie. So many hard counters exist for that Graveyard, making it pretty hard to use. And the thing with the Graveyard is it does okay versus some decks, but very, very weak versus others, whereas stuff like Mega Knight Hog or Golem Hut Poison is better against a wider variety of decks. Next change I want to see is for 3 Musketeers. Not really sure if it's a buff or a nerf, but I feel like they should increase the deployed timer of the 3 Musketeers, because as it is right now, if you're down a tower and your opponent drops 2 Musketeers on your side of the arena, they do damage to your tower almost immediately, making it very hard to counter on your side of the arena. So I feel like they should have a 1 second longer deploy timer, making it a bit easier to react on your side, which also is kind of like a buff for the 3 Musketeers, giving you more time to build Elixir and a beatdown style push if you use them behind the King Tower. Next change here, I feel like the Hunter could actually use a buff for health. I feel like it does a bit too fast for how much Elixir he costs. And the final 2 changes on my balance change list right here. First and foremost, Bradley, sorry if you're watching, but I feel like Mortar could use a bit of a nerf, especially on ladder. Either deployed timer increase, giving him more time to react, or a health decrease. And then finally here, guys, obviously the Royal Ghost is a bit too strong right now and could use a small nerf. I feel like the perfect way to nerf the Ghost is to actually increase his invisible timer, so it takes him a bit longer after attacking a target to go invisible. I know a lot of people say it reduces damage, reduces health, increases elixir costs, but I feel like that's all a bit too much. Right now, he's really strong because he goes invisible so insanely fast. If you are trying to defend a Royal Ghost, he kills your stuff, has 1 health left, immediately goes invisible, goes to your tower and does damage as well. So I feel like if it took him like 1 second longer to go invisible, it would just give your tower that extra bit of time to finish him off before he goes invisible at 1 health. But anyways, guys, that is the end of my list of things I want to see included in the next balance update. Like I said before, I would love to hear from you. Do you agree or disagree with anything on my list? Share your opinion in the comment section down below. But anyways, guys, that will actually be the end of the video. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for some more Clash Royale content. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. We will see you in the next one.